Don't let us get sick, don't let us get old, don't let us get stupid, alright. Just make us be brave and make us play nice, and let us be together tonight. The sky was on fire as I walked to the mill to take up the slack in the line. When I thought of my friends and the troubles they've had to keep me from thinking of mine. Don't let us get sick, don't let us get old, don't let us get stupid, alright. Just make us be brave and make us play nice, and let us be together tonight. The moon has a face and it smiles on the lake and causes the ripples in time. And I'm lucky to be here with people I like, who maketh my spirit to shine. Don't let us get sick, don't let us get old, don't let us get stupid, alright. Just make us be brave and make us play nice, and let us be together tonight, and let us be together tonight.
Let's give another round of applause for David Norris, our music director, and wonderful Anya Clayson, who is our vocalist. I welcome all of you again to another monthly gathering here at Sunday Assembly. So fun to see new and old faces. And again, we're here just to live better, help often, wonder more. That's what this organization is about, and really forming those kinds of human connections. Earlier I was talking to Paul, and we were just talking about, he was talking about a trip that he took across the country and went to a lot of small back town places on his travels, and just how when you just sit down with people one-on-one and get to know them, you know, we're all just really made of the same stuff, whether we agree or disagree on certain politics or religion or whatever. You know, what we need in this world is just to all sit down and listen to each other and really understand that we're all humans. So, and that's really what Sunday Assembly is about, and what we try to create and what we do. And so I just want to welcome you today here. Today we've got, again, some music that helps us reflect and also sing together and have that human experience, that kind of corporate human experience. We've got a guest speaker that I'm really glad to hear from. I was preparing the PowerPoint and was looking through my name up here, and I didn't have time to look through it, but it makes me a little bit nervous. But Chelsey is here, and she is a behavior analyst. She's going to share a little bit of her knowledge. And so we've got an exciting program today. So, can we do the music? Okay, yeah, we've got the, sorry about that. So one of the things we do to get to know each other is we have a little bit of an icebreaker. And today, I just kind of want you guys to answer this question. What was something, a chore that you had growing up that you just absolutely hated and tried to get out of all the time? Or what was that thing you did when you were a child that like always got you into trouble? So that's kind of the topic for discussion for the next 5 minutes.
Me too.
I hate doing this. Taking out the compost.
Okay.
And I don't think I did my mom would say nice time. That was good. Give me a deadline. I'll make sure I have to put it. I didn't like micromanage. This is my well, if I had done this by a deadline. Anyway, that's how I'm kind of stubborn. I guess I'm so
Mine's at least laminated paper. Mine's permanent.
Sadly, I think that's our last time there, at least for a while. I
work at a group home for adults. Working overnight shift except for on Sunday. I'd rather Sunday do it. Half the bar shifts.
This little area.
Okay, Brandon.
I hope that was a bit of a fun class application. And yeah.
If you may direct your attention to the man in the front of the stage.
Hope you guys all enjoyed a little talk about all those chores we need to do. We all are very similar in that way, aren't we? Anyways, we've got a couple more songs from our great band. First, but before that, I just really want to thank David. For 2 years, he has been our music director. And I gotta say, it's a lot of hard work. He puts a lot of time and thought into choosing all the songs that we sing every Sunday assembly, and put the order of those songs, and he is very organized and gets that to me so I can print out the program, and that kind of thing. So everyone, if we could just give David a round of applause.
You're gonna make me watch.
He didn't even make me say that. But we've got We got two more songs next here. Changes by David Bowie and Basket Case. And this is wrong. So David, take it away.
But we had a guitarist, but he had to drop out yesterday due to some family emergency things. So you can't do Green Day without guitar. Like that would be sad. You would not like me. So instead, we have another song, which you will hear. Sure. Now? Oh. No, that's not right. That's right. So, if you would like to join us in singing, we're welcome to. Otherwise, enjoy this. The taste was not so sweet, so I turned to myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse of how the others must see the fakers. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes and face the strange changes. Don't wanna be a richer one. Changes. Face the strange changes. It's gonna have to be a different one. Time may change me, but I can't change time. Oh yeah. I watch the ripples change their size, but never leave the stream of warm and permanent sand. So the days flow through my eyes, but never sting in the stain. And these children that you spit on, as they try to change their worlds, they're immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes and face the strange changes. Don't tell them to grow up and out of it. Changes and face the strange changes. But it's a shame you left us up to an accident. Times may change me, but I can't race time. Strange fascinations fascinating me. Changes are taking the pace I'm going through. Changes and face the strange changes. Look out, you rock and rollers. Changes and face the strange changes. Pretty soon now you're gonna get older. Time may change me, but I can't race time. I said that time may change me, but I can't race time. Better all the time. I used to get mad at my school.
No, I can't complain.
The teachers that taught me were cool.
No, I can't complain.
You're holding me down, turning me around, filling me up with your rules. It's getting better, a little better all the time. I have to admit, it's getting better, it's getting better. I changed my mind. I used to be angry and sad. it's getting better, a little better. I changed my mind, getting so much better all the time. It's getting better all the time. Better, better, better. It's getting better all the time. Better, better, better. Getting so much better. Oh, we're getting so much better all the time.
So, in line with Chelsea's presentation today, we've got a video we're going to play right before she gets up, because it'll make all of us laugh. We're going to watch some America Funniest Home Videos.
We're not here.
What the?
Oh, that's gotta be. Take back.
It's almost done.
Now we did.
So I think the key lesson is don't do backflips.
Never understood why people think they're easier.
All right, so moving on, I just want to introduce Chelsey really quickly. So Chelsey's been attending Sunday Assembly for a few months now, since May, yeah. And but I remember one of the first times I met her was at a Wyman's event, fireplace, and I work for the Department of Human Services, doing something completely different than Chelsey. But I hear a lot of people in my office do a lot of policy work, and so I just kind of hear the edges of this thing. And I met her. We started talking about the work that she does as a behavior analyst, and it's really fascinating to me. And I think you'll be fascinated with what she has to share today. She has her Master of Science in Behavior Analyst and Therapy at Southern Illinois University. And for her current work, she's a senior behavior therapist at the Lovaas Institute, doing behavioral therapy with children with autism in their homes. So much of her workday consists of playing with children using reinforcement opportunities to teach various skills, and I think we're going to learn a little bit about what that is today. So please give a warm welcome to Chelsey.
Okay, hi everyone. everyone hear me?
Yes.
So, the first thing that's important to talk about is what behavior analysis is. So it is a study of environmental variables and how they change behavior. It's not what they do in Criminal Minds. I get asked that question all the time. I don't watch that show, but we don't work with criminals. That's more forensic psychology. So the definition of behavior, everything that we do, whether it's overt or covert. So like overt would be things like running, eating, and covert is things like thinking, feelings. And another way to kind of test if something is behavior. If a dead man can do it, it ain't behavior. So keep thinking about that. So one thing to talk about first is classical versus operant conditioning. So classical conditioning is basically a pairing of two stimuli before behavior. And so, for example, Pavlov's dog, he salivates when he sees the food. When that food is repeatedly paired with a bell, that dog starts to salivate when he hears the bell. And so that's kind of like if I see a McDonald's sign, I salivate, things like that. Operant conditioning is a type of learning where behavior is controlled by consequences. So positive, negative reinforcement, positive, negative punishment. We'll mostly be talking about reinforcement today. Mostly positive reinforcement. So with that, the definition of reinforcement, which is one of the most important definitions in behavior analysis because it kind of drives everything we do. Because we're always evaluating whether things are reinforcement. So it is a stimulus delivered immediately after behavior that increases the rate of that behavior. The two important words in this definition is immediate and increase. So if it's not delivered immediately after behavior, it's not likely to act as a reinforcer. And it has to increase the behavior. So if you're giving somebody a lollipop after they do something and their behavior isn't increasing, then that lollipop isn't a reinforcer. So, just to give a couple of examples, if I am playing really loud music and Tom Hardy shows up at my door and he tells me to stop, I played loud music in my apartment more frequently. I might even look up what Tom Hardy's favorite music is and try to play that. So yes. Second example. Allie makes brownies, and I tell her brownies suck. As a result, she makes brownies more often. Are those brownies a reinforcer? Or is my comment a reinforcer?
Yes.
Apparently.
It didn't work. I tried to do it last night. You betcha. It's a reinforcer. Third example. I'm trying to get Matt to talk about fantasy football more because I want to learn about fantasy football. But every time we try to talk about it, he's a little ADD and he doesn't really talk about it. So I try to offer him a beer every time he brings up the subject of fantasy football. But he never talks about it again. Is that beer a reinforcer? No. So, one thing I wanted to talk about is a common misconception that I hear all the time. People will say, oh, I tried reinforcement with my kid. It doesn't work. But if you look at the definition, if it's not increasing that behavior you want, then it's not a reinforcer. So that person actually isn't using reinforcement. And also if it's not delivered immediately after behavior, it's also not really going to act as a reinforcer. Another thing to think about with that too is the organism is always right. So you can't choose someone else's reinforcer for them. You have to look at what that person's preference is and shape it around that because people's preferences change all the time too. So changing that reinforcer is important as well. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a little bit of an existential crisis that I had when I started studying behavior analysis. This is something that a professor said in a class, and it kind of, the entire day I was kind of thinking about it, and it kind of changed my entire worldview on things. It's that everything that you do is determined by your reinforcement history. So, I don't know, the thing I was thinking about a lot was, I always thought like my thoughts controlled what I was doing and my choices, but really it's all my consequences that have controlled everything that I'm doing. And so that kind of blew my mind. There's this idea along with that, the automaticity of reinforcement, which is basically like your behavior is changing without you realizing it, without you being consciously aware of your behavior changing. And so that's kind of why I think I didn't realize that the first thing is because our behavior is changing all the time and we don't even notice. So this kind of comes into the idea of does free will actually exist? And I mean, we make choices all the time, but those choices are always kind of controlled by some outside variable. An interesting thing with this is you think about like people who are in prison. Are they in prison for things that they couldn't control? Just their environment was kind of controlling their behavior. And so kind of, there's a book B.F. Skinner wrote called Walden 2. I haven't actually read the book, but I kind of talked about some of the ideas of it in class about free will and determinism and how, yeah, just different environmental variables affect behavior. And so, does anyone have any like questions, discussions, comments?
What's really more supposed to say influence than control? Or
Influence, control, they kind of go hand in hand. Like you can.
well, the control just seems more absolute.
Yeah, influence I think is probably a better word to use.
So, like if you're like, say like down in the gutter, you're depressed or whatever, like and it feels like a lot of things aren't nothing's reinforcing anything positive or changes. How does reinforcement play into that part? Or is it just so like slow you don't notice it?
So I think a lot of, in general, a lot of workplaces and a lot of our systems are more punishment based than reinforcement based. So I think that's kind of where it comes from, is like this subversive, like I have to do this, or like if you don't go to work you get fired. So we're kind of always exposed to those aversive contingencies, and so there isn't a lot of reinforcement like worked into like pretty much most of the stuff in society. And so I think that's where that comes from. And a lot of the things they recommend for depression is like, they call it a pleasant event schedule. So you basically, even though you don't feel like it, you go out and do things that you like to do, and it's supposed to help with that.
When you were talking about whether or not, your existential crisis,
Yeah.
and what, whether or not it was your thoughts, anyway. And when you get to the second bullet point, that all of our behaviors are created by previous reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
It suddenly hit me, gender roles,
Yeah.
and how we put children on a path of these gender roles so that by the time they're grown-ups, I noticed that all the goodies over here are made by women. And anyway, because we've gotten those, oh, that's really great or whatever. But anyway, the importance of those reinforcers in getting you to step into the societally accepted role that your parents and others expect. And then when you don't do it, you do get the negative stuff. But that the reinforcers are a very important role of, good boy, good girl,
Yeah.
that stuff.
give an example of some reinforcement you used at work with your kids?
Yeah.
And maybe like one unusual one is something that you thought was a little different than you expected.
Sure. Yeah, so it's funny, like when you go into clients' homes, when you first talk about reinforcement with the parents, they always think like, oh, you're gonna give my kid candy all day. And they don't like it, but you kind of have to explain, like, no, we're using a lot of play. And so basically we're just like, can't think of like a specific example of like an unusual one, just because I think I see a lot of, I'm trying to think.
Well, what's a common one that you use?
So sometimes we'll use like videos. We try to like stray away from it, but we try to get more social things. Legos is big. So we'll just basically we'll be playing with whatever we're playing with, and then we tell the child to come sit. And then we do like a couple quick trials, and then they get whatever we're doing back. So like one thing, I have this photo booth app on my phone where like it changes the colors and like you can like see yourself on the picture. And my kids likes that. I had a kid who really liked the Titanic, so we would watch Titanic videos and like build a Titanic. I did have a kid who was like really liked like death. He was obsessed with death, just like massive. I don't know. We try not to like. Some of those we try, if they're not really socially appropriate, we try to minimize like how much we're using it. But yeah, and sometimes it'll be things like just seeing mom is a reinforcer, or like physical stuff too, like we'll like, spin around or things like that.
Thanks, Chelsey. And now David and Oni again. Round of applause.
Printer troubles this morning, so I have to do everything off of my iPad. My computer is not responding to and my computer is not currently responding to reinforcement. Well, please. There we go. Oh no.
So does anybody have an example of a reinforcer they use on themselves? Because I know that I use reinforcement at work when I have a lot of things I need to get through. That's when I let myself listen to YouTube videos while I work, and that's kind of a reward for me. Or when I get through things, okay, now I get to spend 5 minutes on BuzzFeed.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
I combine chocolate with coffee and then get a mocha. If I'm like stressed at work and I'm having trouble focusing, I reward myself with a walk to the coffee shop and come back and then feel better to work.
By the time you're old, just sitting down. When I get through with this, it's going to be, ass sitting time for a few moments. And so I go and just sit in the comfy chair, for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then go to the other task. Just sitting there.
Yeah. I know that I have trouble sometimes motivating myself to get on the treadmill. So there are certain Netflix shows that I am not allowed to watch unless I'm on the treadmill. So that's my reinforcer.
I was going to say, when I go to the gym, I get to brag to Chelsey that I'm at the gym.
Social reasons.
Yes.
Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady,
This has been such a great day. I really learned a lot from Chelsey. And I'm going to kind of change things up a little bit because it makes sense to me. So I'm going to kind of start with kind of wrapping things up a little bit, and we're going to have a moment of mindfulness, and then after that, I'm going to do something else. So I just was, as Chelsey was talking about reinforcement, some of the things I've been thinking about in my life is I think I've always been kind of like a type A kind of personality where I want to get things done. I also have this kind of perfectionist mentality. Sometimes that can get me stuck because I just, I expect things to be a certain way. And working in a large agency like I work at, and there's so many systems and bureaucracy, sometimes I just want to be like, guys, can you just do this? And I tend to get really stressed out. And this year I've really learned from my supervisor a lot of mentoring, just to be like, okay, just take a step back, breathe. No one's doing this to you intentionally. No one's trying to be a pain in your butt. And so just really take a step back and think about what you want to happen and how you want it to go, and start looking at that. And I kind of think of reinforcement, when I was being kind of reinforcing myself, if something doesn't go my way, I freak out and I stress out when I want to give up. And I think we tend to do that. And I've seen a lot of people just kind of like freak out, and if they're a part of an organization or they're part of a work project or whatever, if it doesn't go their way, they just step back and they stop working on it because they're getting that negative kind of reinforcement. They feel like they put themselves out there and then it's not going their way. But then how do you counter that? And I think for me, it's part of it is a new kind of thinking, a new kind of reinforcement, which is stepping back and say, okay, we're all human, we're all trying to do this. What maybe is a better way, or what am I missing about this situation? And really just taking a step back and not getting angry at people or at myself. So that's kind of what I get out of her talk. And where are those moments where we can kind of like reinforce ourselves through like thinking or through behavior, like we talked about through all these examples. Anyway, I just want to thank everyone again for their presentations, and this is a good time to kind of think about in your life, the things that we've learned about in the songs, if they meant anything to you and how it might apply to your life. So we're just going to take like 30 seconds. We've got a quote here to think that you might want to think about as well. From Shakespeare, "We know what we are, but not what we may be." All right. I did want to mention quick to Chelsey that maybe it wasn't the right beer, or maybe I didn't realize that the beer was associated to the outcome you wanted. So I think we should try that again. If you're up for that. So apparently she was trying to use beer on reinforcement and just went over my head. I like stouts, vanilla porter. So if you want to throw up the schedule, Tom, for some of the events coming up, go ahead and have something.
Where?
I'm wearing a t-shirt. Yes, I guess this is important.
Showing up, yeah.
Okay, now you guys are going to see it. I'm getting ready. So there are 4 t-shirts left. What sizes, do you know?
I think 1 small, 2 medium, and 1 large.
1 small, 2 medium, 1 large. And those proceeds go back into Sunday Assembly. So we put on events like this and other things during the month. We're a young organization, but we're always also looking for opportunities to do things out in the community and volunteer. So that's where some of that money goes. Everyone up here, all the hard work David and Anya do. Tom, he serves every month, making sure the PowerPoints are working and bringing these speakers that we have here. Dan's always in the back doing videotaping. I want to give a big round of applause for Allie, who set up all the tables today and actually made coffee. And I know someone brought some treats today as well. So I just want to thank everyone. Grace brought the treats.
No, not the cupcakes. That was the cupcakes.
Allie brought the cupcakes. We got Grace brought the pumpkin pecan
Pumpkin squares.
squares.
And we forgot the
So
hot
make sure
chocolate.
you eat those, because I know I was talking to Paul, and he does not want to bring those home. Not for his taste buds, but for his stomach.
Everything's a single serving.
So anyway, thanks everyone for all they've done. We've got upcoming this month, we've got Wine with Ted on October 19th. It's a Wednesday, and is that at your place?
Yeah.
It's at Tom's place, so it's Wine with Ted at Tom's. And that's where we just play a few TED Talks and have some wine and cheese and whatever beer, whatever else people bring, and just kind of, it's a really good place to have discussions and talk about life and meet people.
Burritos this month.
Burritos.
Wait.
Serving
Did
burritos.
you say burritos?
Burrito Wednesday from Chipotle. Wow.
Chipotle.
You're like really one-upping everybody on that. Is this going to be an every
No,
thing?
no.
And we've had Zoom in the past, and I think we might get that back on the calendar, we're not sure, but watch Meetup for that. Team Trivia Night, which is at the Nomad World Pub, is on November 7th. And then the next Sunday Assembly is November 13th. And just keep your eyes on Meetup as well, because we always do a big Thanksgiving feast as well that everyone can come to if they don't have anything going on with family. It's a really great time just to socialize and celebrate life together. And now, one last song. Is this the right song?
This is the right song.
This is a really fun song. I love it. Okay, go. This too shall pass.
It's actually one of Matt's favorite songs. We haven't done it in a while. I thought this was perfect. And now it's
And there's a couple of parts in this one, so if you want to sing along with the lyrics with David, you can follow him, or if you want to do some decorative gooing with me, you can do that too.
We'll try to keep it.
No, you can't keep letting it get you down, and you can't keep dragging that way around. If there ain't all that much to lug around, better run like hell when you hit the ground. When the morning comes, when the morning comes, you can't stop these kids from dancing. Why would you want to, especially when you're already get it the first time, we'll do it for a few more, and then we'll come around and do it again. So here we go. Let it go, this too shall pass. Let it go, this too shall pass. What's going on here? Let it go, this too shall pass. Let it go, this too shall pass. With morning, when the morning comes. When the morning comes. When the morning comes. When the morning comes. When the morning Alright, that is all from us. Now it is to you. So go to the back and have the things and the coffee and the beverages and meet new people. Including me, if you want to meet me.